As a true football fan, you already know that just as sure as the seasons change, unfortunately, Tom Brady will keep the Patriots in the game. Every weekend, your favorite gridiron warriors put their skills to the test, so why aren't you doing the same? We're almost halfway through the NFL season, so now is the time to get off the sidelines and get in the game with MyBookie. MyBookie is the premier place to bet on all of your favorite pro and college football action every weekend. They always have the most up-to-date lines and the most prop bets of any sportsbook on the planet. If you're going to bet this season, do the smart thing and bet with the best at MyBookie. Are you tired of watching the games from the couch with nothing to gain? MyBookie wants to get your mind off everything else and back on the game and make you some money while you're doing it. The best part is, if you join right now, MyBookie will double your first deposit. That's right. If you put in $1,000, they will give you $1,000. That's double your initial deposit you can use on all your favorite picks. To get that promo, make sure you use the promo code CryptoStreet, one word. Visit mybookie.ag today. You play, you win, you get paid.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the main event.
Let's go.
Round one, fight.
Thank you for tuning in to the Crypto Street Podcast. Here are your hosts, Killer Whale, Prince, and Crypto Dale.
And remember to tip your waitress.
Hello, ladies and gents. You are joining us on a Thursday evening, spooky episode. Happy Halloween, everybody. A little bit later in the week, but I think it's going to turn out not too bad because there have been some interesting happenings just in the past hour or two, mainly with Deribit, which I'm sure most people here are familiar with. If you're not, Deribit is the closest thing to a BitMEX competitor that there is, I think. Derivatives exchange, perpetual swaps, options, that sort of thing. So, Prince, I guess we'll kind of go right to you.
I was right in the thick of this.
You were affected. Yeah. Walk us through what happened.
Pretty wild. Like, actually, as I'm talking to you, I'm still in my account trying to fucking get this stuff dealt with because their risk desk came in and made such a mess of everything. So pretty much what my understanding now, like, here's my afternoon. I forgot this was even Halloween at this moment. Okay, so what a weird day, right? This is Halloween for you. Weird shit's happening. So apparently Coinbase is acting really wonky, right? So Coinbase was down for like maybe an hour or so. And then, I don't know, I guess like their books just cleared and there was a trade down around 42.50. Like, what the hell is going on, right? Like, who the hell knows? So something's going on with Coinbase, and Coinbase has been rather silent. So no, at this point, I don't even know what the deal is with them and what's been happening. But so the interesting thing is now, because with derivatives, right, a derivatives exchange, typically Bitcoin, they're tracking spot exchanges, right? And so this is the thing, right? You go to Deribit and you think, okay, Deribit, this is good because the exchange, it can't really be messed with, or the price, because they got like 8 different exchanges or something like that they're pulling prices from. And if any of them kind of get crazy out of line, they'll just remove it from the index. So that didn't happen. Coinbase stayed in the index for like this, I don't know, 60-second period, was it? Like I was just going through my trade logs. So because I have typically trading weekly, biweekly options. So I had a lot of bullish exposure and kind of literally just waiting for today's settlement. And I got some for the next week and everything like that. And I go into my account and like, I don't really know anything's going on, right? Like, I think like, I'm not getting any like BitMEX wrecked notifications, which is usually my thing of like, hey, price is moving. And all of a sudden I'm like, my account is like 20% and then 25%, and just going lower in value. I'm like, what the hell is going on here? Like, there's nothing, I'm not getting any liquidation notifications, but yet my account is just shrinking at the moment here before my eyes. And then all of a sudden, it just stopped, and it's like, okay, now price is back to normal. And so I was going through my trade history, and so because the indexing got all messed up, they went in, they took over pretty much, and they decided, okay, we got to, because this is what they'll do, right, with options. It's because options, it's a lot tougher you can't really liquidate somebody like you can with futures, right? Because half the time when the market's actually moving, the market makers just disappear. So it's an empty book, right? So their risk desk will come in and they'll hedge you out, bring you down to delta neutral in the futures or the swap or whatever. They'll just use whatever they can. And so I guess in this 60-second period, I'm looking at this trade log, and they went into my account, and within 60 seconds, they were hammering it down. And I'm looking at where all these trades they were entering, and it was all at 7.8K. I'm like, oh my God. So they were busy shorting hard to try to reduce my exposure in this short time span at 7.8K. Then next thing you know, price is back up to normal. So that right there just caused a bunch of losses, just them going in and doing that. But it looks like they're planning to pretty much give everybody their money back for the most part. I don't know. I'm watching my account. I still don't got mine. So we'll see. But yeah, that's what they said. Everybody was affected. And the wording was interesting, right? So at first, everybody was kind of up in arms because the wording was such that it made it sound like it was just people who were liquidated, who had positions just get completely wiped off the board, that were going to get money back. And from now, everybody kind of up in arms, right? They're like, well, what if I had a stop loss? Because apparently there were a lot of people who had stop losses. They got triggered, but the books just, it's like it just vanished, right? And so all of a sudden you had, orders, positions with stops that were getting absolutely wiped out, hundreds and hundreds of dollars below their stop, all this stuff. And then they came out and said, no, you guys will be good too. So everything is looking like they're handling this pretty well so far. I think they had the exchange, like the platform locked down at one point. Nobody could even trade because it was so messed up. But it's one of those things that it's like, holy crap, you think, if there's going to be an exchange that actually handles this exact thing well, with indexing and the pricing, it's going to be Deribit. And then all of a sudden there's an issue with it. So that was kind of a wake up call. It's like, holy shit. Okay.
So
it's been a weird day.
I have a few questions regarding this, and I don't know if you have the answers, but I think they're worth talking about. The first is, how does this sort of thing still happen somewhere like Coinbase? I mean,
I don't know.
That's one of the more liquid, more well-run, robust platforms.
You'd think, right? But yeah, I don't know.
We're used to seeing this happen at like Kraken,
Yeah, exactly, right?
It's happened at Coinbase more than it should, though.
Yeah, and Coinbase doesn't even, they're just silent. It's like, who the hell knows what's going on over there?
They probably don't even know. So, like, I mean, people who are like long time, they've been involved in the space for a while, they probably know what Deribit is. But
yeah,
just to kind of like walk it back and like make it a little bit more equal to what somebody might be familiar with is like BitMEX, for example. I think it takes its pricing from 2 exchanges. Is that correct? Bitstamp and
BitMEX. Yeah,
2 or 3, something like that.
Yeah, I can't remember the exact ones they take. But it's not like Deribit. Deribit includes a lot. So this is why this is so weird, because I remember there was that one with Bitstamp where, and this would have been, I don't know, it was in the last rally we had when we were really pumping off the floor there and going up. I think we were in the 8Ks or so. And all of a sudden there was that massive order, a big sell order that was just walking down the market on Bitstamp. And all of a sudden it was just liquidation central on BitMEX because of it. So it is kind of interesting because this isn't the first time, right? Like that's another example of a time where just the indexing can really fuck with the entire market, right? Like if you can hit one exchange out of that index and mess things up on them, all of a sudden there's a whole vast majority of people that are getting affected by it. So it's interesting, right? Because like the index constituents of, what you're including into it, it's really important. And, how they handle it, it's extremely important. And we're seeing that, now quite a few times this year, it seems to be a common thing now.
Yeah. I got to say real quick, I don't know if you guys can hear this, but somebody like literally just fired up a chainsaw like right outside my house. So if there's background noise, I apologize, but I'll try to limit it as much as possible. But anyway, but Deribit system is like supposed to stop this from happening, given that they sourced from 8 different exchanges, right?
That's why it's like this is a legit fuck up on Deribit. That's
So you were
like
saying basically what they try to do is if one of the exchanges is acting funky, they
they'll just remove it. Yeah, they'll exclude it
What I don't get
from.
about that is like, how is that at all possible to do in real time? You know, because these things happen in the blink of an eye. Like, you tell me
Well,
the
and
system's smart enough to,
yeah,
oh, that one's out of line. Like, maybe, but it just seems.
I think that is really kind of like what happened here, almost in a sense. Like it just happened almost too fast for it to react, and because of that, Deribit got hit pretty hard. Um, it's interesting though. Like I'm still kind of, I'm just in their Telegram chat, kind of following things and just watching what the moderators are saying and all that.
I'm
But
sure people are probably not too
because
happy.
yeah, well, there's a lot of pissed off people right now, like a lot, and because there's also the talks now that they're going to be doing KYC, know your customer, in the new year. So it's rather interesting now. There's a lot of shit going on with Deribit.
Let's real pause on that real quick. You mentioned that to us, I think, like a little bit ago. Is that can we talk about where that's coming from, or
The whole
how?
KYC thing, I think
Yeah.
it was in a podcast. I can't remember whose podcast, but I believe it was their CEO or something like that did a podcast recently. And, I just know because the Deribit chat was just lighting up yesterday about it. Like what the hell's going on? Why do we do a KYC now? But apparently, it sounds like it's one of those like KYC might happen, or they might try to relocate so they don't have to. And so it's this in the middle thing of, okay, what are we going to do? How are we going to proceed? So, but it sounds like they got to decide something in the new
If I
year.
had told you 6 months ago that Deribit would do KYC before MEX, what would you have? What would your reaction have been?
Uh, Probably would have just laughed.
Right? I wouldn't have
Yeah.
seen that one coming. That's kind of a curveball. I mean, not in the sense. I mean, in the sense, not really, because it happens to everybody eventually.
Yeah.
But you wonder how some places have kind of skirted around it.
Yeah. I don't know. And it's one of those things that, it's kind of unavoidable for a lot, like the most part to me. It
Yeah.
sucks. I don't like it, but you can't really avoid it. It's just kind of as the market matures.
Yeah, the only way to really get around that is probably going to be like a true DEX, where
Mhm.
like it's this pie in the sky thing that we haven't really seen yet, but something that's really, robust enough and self-sustaining enough to where you can't really do anything
And
about
it's
it.
tough, right? Because it's like, the things that an exchange that you want to use because it offers, products that you want to trade, right? So, and that seems to be the common thing is they're asking for KYC. It's like, oh, this sucks, but it's like they have a product that you want to trade that you're not really getting anywhere else. So then it's kind of, you have an incentive in a sense. It's like, yeah, okay. Like with Deribit, right? Like there's not really like they're pretty much, well, now there's a whole bunch of options trading coming into the CME backed and all that, but they're not here yet. And at the moment, Deribit is the place to be, right, for options.
Yeah. Let's backtrack a little bit. And so they mentioned Deribit, that is, that they're going to reimburse liquidations. And so I think what most people know is like you take a position, you're either long or short, whether that position is in spot or it's in a perpetual swap or some kind of option
Yeah.
like that. And it goes the wrong way, you lose, it hits your liquidation price, and that's it, you're gone. How was your situation a little bit different than that? I know you touched on that earlier, but
Well, because so liquidating, a futures position is a lot easier to do than to liquidate option positions
mhm.
because the markets can be pretty thin, especially when there becomes, some type of extreme movement maybe. And, if you think you're going to be able to find a good bid and ask, you kind of just, that's a fantasy. The market makers usually they'll just pull out almost like it just, there almost is no market until things settle down again. So, and that's where, in my situation, it was because the index made all this, it was just its pricing was so off that all of a sudden it made it okay. So how my portfolio, the risk on my portfolio was being calculated. Now everything got messed up because the index was off, right? And so because of that, then the risk desk takes over, and they'll just go into the futures or the swap, and they'll just dump a bunch of contracts in whatever direction offsets you, and that's that, right? And that's what what's causing me the headache right now, is them going into my account and doing that. It's like, okay, guys, I would have been better off if you would have just left it.
Yeah.
If you guys just wouldn't have touched it, I'd be a-okay right now. But no, yeah, it's a interesting situation, and at this time, I'm still not reimbursed, so I don't know when that's happening. Who the hell knows?
We talked about this a little bit before, but I think you'll probably be okay. I mean, what do I know? But if they're being that proactive about a response in general, I think that's probably a good sign. And I'm
Yeah.
sure people will be upset if some people get reimbursed, whereas other people with different kinds of positions do not. So I would think you'll be okay.
Let's hope. Let's hope, because it's a nasty Halloween.
Yeah.
Like, this is just a
Patrick.
weird day. Yeah. Weird day.
Yeah, it like on one hand, it boggles my mind that this stuff still happens, but I guess it shouldn't. Maybe that's
Yeah.
just us losing perspective of how new all this crap still is, even though we've been here
Yeah.
for a few years.
It's, this is it. This is just how it, it's an immature market, right? It's new. It's got a lot of growing up to do, and this is the price we pay to trade it. So,
Well, this is the kind of thing too, where every time like a new ETF approval date comes up, this is the kind of stuff that always gets cited.
yeah, and it is, it's like you try to, and this is like the big thing, right? Is the index, the pricing. How are they going to do these pricings, and can they make it safe? And it's a huge deal. And time and time again, we're showing that there's some pretty big flaws still going on in our market here. So we're probably not ready for an ETF or anything like that.
So I do not use Deribit, but is the most traded product there the Bitcoin Perpetual swap?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Okay. And so I was looking at it a little bit ago, and I don't really use it, so I'm not even sure if I'm looking at the right stuff, but it looked like to me that the daily volume on that was about 30,000. Is that right? That seems really, really low.
I don't even know. I actually haven't looked at the chart yet. I don't know. If you go into their Telegram channel, it feels like it must have been a lot more than that, because I think everybody and anybody is in there right now just screaming. I don't know. It's, I don't know. Yeah, it's we're just living the dream right now, right?
I don't mean to take shots, because this could honestly very well be me just not reading
No,
it.
I literally don't know. I haven't looked at the chart. I'm just in their Telegram channel right now, so I'm kind of distracted. I'm half in this conversation, half in the Telegram, kind of trying to keep track of things and what's going on. But yeah, no, like, from the sounds of it, it was, I don't know, a lot of people got mad. Like, when I'm going in my account and I'm seeing that they were executing trades at 7.8K, and I think the low was like 7.7. It's like, oh, you guys fucked me good. It's like,
yeah. And it's like, you don't want to, I mean, I'm not saying at all that like there's some like, I'm sure it's just like a system that was meant to work in a certain way and it didn't work that way. Years ago, this might have happened and the initial thought would have been fraud, exit scam, that sort of thing.
Yeah, like, so far how they've handled this seems really solid. Like, they're pretty on top of it, but again, at this time, I still don't have my money back in my account. So until then, I'm not going to get too positive or upbeat.
It fucking sucks without a doubt, to say the least, and especially
this is
expected. But
this is crypto, right? It's like, fuck, just what can you do? This is it. This is, you play the game, you pay the price sometimes, and you just hope that you don't have to pay that price too often.
If we're looking for like a silver lining, I guess, if this had happened 2 years ago, I think not only would it have happened, but you'd probably be disconnected from the website for hours on end. Support would be nowhere to be found because they don't have enough support to help. And you probably open up a ticket that gets answered like 3 months.
It's funny going back, because even in this chat, some people are like, "Oh, this is way better than BitMEX. They won't refund anything." And it's funny because when I first started using BitMEX, they did. Like, I remember God, they had it was like a Bitcoin Japanese yen pairing. Um, and that got all messed up one day. Like it was just a stupid, like their index got completely wonked and just liquidated a ton of longs. And yeah, sure shit, they just, it's like, you have your money back. I don't know, back then they were really easy to work with. I remember, thinking back to these, like the old BitMEX days, like when they would actually refund people's money and all that for big fuck ups. They actually, like, because you know how they only do the withdrawal like once every 24 hours, right? Well, I remember and it's like at a set time of day. I remember like back then I could like email them up, like the notification email that, hey, withdrawal pending, and just be like, hey, like, I need to get this rather quickly. Any chance you guys could just push this through? And sure shit, they would push it through, like every time. Yeah. So yeah, a lot of things, but this is like long before they became what they are now, right?
Yeah.
So I think now you tried that, they tell you to probably just, take a walk.
Yeah. You'd go into spam in their inbox probably.
Yeah, exactly, right.
So these places do have insurance funds, which are meant to reimburse, or like it's basically funds or profits that are earmarked for events like this, right?
Yeah. This has been a thing that I've had in my mind for a bit. I'm like, and this, everybody likes, this is like the common thing I see, people like to laugh about the BitMEX insurance fund and how big it is. And some people like to bring up a moral issue with it. No, this shit's stupid crap. And it's like, no, you know what? You want that. If you're trading on that exchange, you want that insurance fund there because that's your protection. If something goes wrong, right, on the exchange, and, like even OKX, you remember when that whale went down during the bear market? And it was just, I can't remember how big the position, it was hundreds of millions or something like that. And it was on the books, and it was like, there was no way to even fill the liquidation. And then it was like, oh, well, what's the insurance fund like? And then I don't think it was big enough to support it. And then talks came out of like, well, shit, is there going to be like a haircut on, people's accounts and all that? And like, that's where some of these things can lead at times, right? OKX ended up covering it, I think, just out of pocket, which was really good of them. But yeah, that's the thing, right? Those insurance funds are your protection. If something goes horribly wrong, like what happened today on Deribit. And this is the thing that kind of keeps me up at night, because Deribit doesn't have a big insurance fund. It's 308 Bitcoin at this point. Tiny, right? Like it's not covering shit if something really goes wrong. So that's always something that is in the back of my mind when I'm laying in bed at night. It's like, oh, what happens if?
People not here have normal nightmares. You have nightmares about insurance funds not being big enough to cover.
Yeah, exactly. This is what keeps me up at night.
All right. Well, we'll let you go soon, but I feel like we'd be remiss if we didn't just spend a couple minutes. Last time we had an episode, the price of Bitcoin was about 7,600. So, of course, we had that insane move towards the end of last week where we shot up to 10,200 at one point. How has that affected what you're looking for the price to do short to medium term?
No, I'm still bullish. Like, I think last episode, our common thing was, remaining optimistic, and that doesn't change. I think, if anything, that was a big move. So expecting another huge move right away, not really in that camp. I think kind of, what we're doing now, just kind of chopping around the 9Ks, high 8Ks. I could even see us actually filling that gap at some point on the CME. But I think overall, like, trend, to me, the trend is up still. So
yeah, that was definitely, I'd say we were more like cautiously thinking that before, and now it's like I feel comfortable feeling that, where we're not going to skyrocket to 20 anytime soon, but I think that move is very indicative that, let's say, the animal spirits are still alive.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, cool. Well, like I said, we'll let you go. I know you're dealing with that shit right now, but appreciate you coming on for a little bit. Happy Halloween to everybody. Stay safe out there. Have a good time. And we will chat with you all next week.